I will share my screen and then we'll start today's session. So last session we had done the session with class and object. Okay. So I will open. Okay, fine. So last session we had started the OOPS concept. In the OOPS concept, so the first thing, like we had done the discussion with class and object. So after that we will discuss about the types of variables, and then we will discuss about the methods, and after that we will discuss about the some keywords, final and super. These are the keywords. We have this keyword. These are the keywords we will discuss. So these are OOPS basics actually. Okay, these all are the OOPS basics. After the OOPS basics, we will cover OOPS principles. We have OOPS principles 4. Those 4 are: first one is the encapsulation, second one is the abstraction, third one is the polymorphism, fourth one is the inheritance. These 4 are the OOPS principles. Which language follows the OOPS principles? Then we can call that is the OOP language. Which language supports the OOPS principles? Then we can say that is the OOP language. That is the OOP language. Are you guys clear with my point? Now today we'll discuss about the types of variables. Today we'll discuss about the types of variables. So basically, till now, like we did the programs inside the main method. So I will take the mesh paint, and through that I will explain. You can easily understand what is the process is happening internally. Till now, whatever the programs, like almost we had completed around 14 or 15 classes exactly. So the 16 classes, total 16 classes we has completed. All the classes, whatever the classes we did till now, all the classes, every program we has written inside the main method only. For example, if I take mention to public okay, class demo, and here we have taken the main method PSVM. I am taking the main method, and string all whatever the programs we did till now. So all the programs we did inside the main method, inside the main method, inside the main method. This is clear. So till now, whatever the programs we did till now, all the programs we had done inside the main method only. Are you guys clear with my point? So today onwards, we'll discuss about the types of variables. Types of variables. So normally the basic level, what does it mean by variables? The basic level at the time of like starting sessions, we had done with the what is variable. So what is variable? Variable which is used to store the data. Variable which is used to store the data. Store the data and store the data after the variable. So we'll be having data types, like data type which is used to specify the what kind of data you want to store inside the variable. For example, in the data types also we'll be having 2 types. One is the primitive data types, the second one is the non-primitive data types. Okay. For example, if I mention like this, what does it mean? Int a is the variable, int is the data type. This is the variable declaration. This is the variable declaration. In the same way, if I mention like this, int a equal to 10, then what does it mean by variable initialization? Variable initialization. So variable initialization. In the primitive data types we can categorize into 2 types. One is the primitive data types, second one is the non-primitive data types. Primitive data types meaning those are the fixed. We can store only one value. So I would say reference data type means we can store multiple values. For example, if I say like this, for example, student and s equal to new student, new student, and here if I mention like this, then what does it mean by S is the reference variable? This variable holding multiple values. Multiple values. This variable data type is the class. In Java, every class you can use as a data type also. That is the, you should remember that point. In Java, every class you can use as a data type. If you observe here, this S is the reference variable and student is the data type. In Java, every class you can use as data type also. Are you guys clear with these points? In the same way, if I take another class also, if I take the employee, and so the reference name is should be like this, and new, if I mention like this, then for this one, which one is the data type? E is the reference, E is the variable name, employee is the data type. Hmm? This is the object creation. Whenever you use the new keyword, then what will happen? Memory will allocated object for that one. This object we are storing in reference variable E. This reference variable data type is the employee. Every class you can use as a data type. Okay? Every class you can use as a data type. Are you guys clear with these points? Till now, whatever the programs we had done, all the programs we had written inside the main method only. After that, in the types of variables, we have categorized into three types. Variables are divided into three types. Okay, variables are divided into three types. So the first one, instance variables. Okay, and second one, static variable. And third one, local variable. Local variable. Are you guys clear with my points? Instance variables also called global variables. Global variable, or you can say non-static variable. Non-static variable. Non-static variable. Okay. Non-static variable. Now, so till now, like we had done the basic programs only. So from today onwards, we are going in depth. Okay. Types of variables. So for example, if I open, yeah, I will open. I will open my Eclipse and will try to understand the process one by one. What is happening internally. It is loading me something. Okay, so we'll start with first one. We'll start with instance variable. So what does it mean by instance variable? So we'll discuss one by one. So before starting that one, I will show you like how the programs we did till now in the Eclipse. Then we'll get the clarity. So till now we did the programs all in the notepads. So that's why I will open my Eclipse one time, and I will show you some one simple program like how we did it. For example, we can observe we has opened the Eclipse. In the Eclipse, like we have written all the programs inside the main method. We haven't tried inside the class and outside the method. Okay. So from today onwards, we'll discuss about the types of methods. Okay. Now I am going to my. So the first point is variables. Variables are declared with which variables are declared inside class and outside the method, and outside the method method are called, this is the class. From here to here, this is the scope of the class, and this is the main method. So first point is I would say instance variable you should write inside the class and outside the method. Outside the method, this is the main method, and outside the method I am writing. Outside the method I am writing. So int a equal to if I mention semicolon, if I mention the semicolon, then this is the variable declaration. This is the variable declaration. Whenever whatever the variables we had declared inside the class and outside the method, those are, we can say, instance variables. Instance variables. This point is clear. This point is clear. Which which variables are declared inside the class and outside the method are called instance variables. Whatever the methods, whatever the I would say, this is the main method. If you write, like till now we did the programs inside the main method only, so we haven't write like outside the method. Now what I am saying, we'll be having three types of variables. First variable we are discussing. If the variable, if you write inside the class or outside the method, we can say that is the instance method. Okay. Next, that is the first point. Next point is instance variables. Instance variables can be accessed all the methods. Can be accessed. All the methods. All the methods available in the class. All the methods available in the class. All the method available in the class. That's why. That's why we are calling we are calling as a global objects, global variables. Are you guys clear with my point? So instance variables, we can access all the methods. For example, if I take one more method like m1 method, like I would like to take m1. If I mention from here to here, this is the scope of method. So this method, this instance variable I can access inside this main method, inside another method also. In future, class is declared with variables and method. In your class, in future might be you can take multiple methods also. If you instance variable, meaning you can use all the methods. In future you can take like multiple methods like this. For example, if I copy this one, in future you might be having multiple methods. Okay, in future you might be having multiple methods. Instance variable, you can access all the methods. That's why we are saying instance variable is the global variable. We can use across the class. We can use across all the methods. So second point, we should remember, instance variable can be accessed all the methods available in the class. That's why we are calling global variables. This is clear. Third point, initialization. Initialization of instance variables is optional. Initialization of instance variables is optional. So this point is, I will clear. So here, did I initialize? No, I haven't initialized. So if I write like this also, that is also good, that is also fine, but that is optional. Initialization is not mandatory. Initialization is optional. Okay, so that's the point. Initialization is optional. And next point, instance variables are called object variables. I would say instance variables are called object variables. Instance variables are called object variables. Object variables. Why? Because so in Java, basically static and instance, the both are enemies actually. They both are enemies. If you want to access the instance variables, you need to create the, for example, we can assume if I initialize the value some with the 200, I am initializing the value with the 10. So if I like if you can observe here, if I would like to print the instance variable, if I print like this, if I want to print the instance variable, if I use the a, then it is throwing the error. Why it is throwing the error? This one is the instance variable, this one is the instance variable, and this is the static method actually. So this static method has we have the different story. So at the time of that one, we will discuss about the methods concept. Okay, if you right now, this is the instance variable. If I am trying to access the instance variable, it is throwing the error. Why? Because in Java, static and instance, they both are enemies. So in the static class, it won't access. We don't access directly instance variables. Okay, this is clear. This one is the instance variable. I am accessing directly instance variable. If I am directly accessing instance variable, that one is throwing the error. Why? Because instance variables, we need to create the objects. We need to create the object. So that's why instance variables are called object variables. Instance variables are called object variables. So second point, what I am saying is memory will be allocated. Memory will be allocated at the time of object creation. Memory will be allocated when we create the object. When we create the object for the instance variables. When we create the object for the instance variables. Are you guys clear with point? So if you declare like this, the JVM won't allocate any memory. Whenever you create the object, then only instance variable like the JVM will allocate the memory. For example, this is the class name. This is the class name. For like I would like to create the object first, and if I mention this is the object creation, and if I mention some reference variable I am mentioning, and this is the object creation. Whenever you create the object, then only like instance variable, the JVM will allocate memory for the instance variables. Guys, clearly observe. So right now we are going to in depth. So please clearly observe. Like don't divert 1 minute also. Okay. This is clear. This point is clear. Whenever you create the object, then only the JVM will allocate the memory. The JVM will allocate the memory. If you not create the object, no, the JVM will allocate whenever you create the object, then that instance variable available in the JVM. If you not create any object, it is not available in the JVM. Okay. So next point is we should remember. If you cannot initialize the value, if you cannot initialize instance variables, it will be initialized with the default value. It will be initialized default value at the time of object creation. Are you guys clear with this point? So if you initialize, that is okay. If you not initialize, that it will have the default value. It will have the default value. It will have the default value. Default value. For example, now we can observe sysout, and in this case I haven't initialized any value. Now how can I access A? Now what will be the result? Default value. If you are not initializing any value, then the default value, it will allocate the default value. If you observe now, if I run the file, then what you will get? The 0. 0 is the default value. 0 is the default value. Are you guys clear with my point? Huh? Yes, we are accessing. How we are accessing? We are accessing with the, this is the object. We are accessing with the object plus and variable name. So we can access, these are the these are the object variables. We can access with the objects only. If you not create, we cannot access. We cannot directly access. We cannot directly access. Hmm? Uh, then call. One minute. My laptop not charging. 100 guys. Charging. Hmm. Hmm. Guys, okay. Now this is clear. This is clear. If you cannot initialize the instance variable, it will be initialized default value at the time of object creation. At the time of object creation. And next point is every object maintain instance copy. Every object maintain instance copy. Copy of the instance variable. Copy of the instance variables. This is very important. This is very important. So every object, if you create the every object, so every copy of every object will maintain instance copy of the instance variable. For example, if I take some examples, I will take here. Like in our class, we will be having two students. Like you can take Raja and Rani. Movie is there now. Raja Rani. So in the same way, we will take two persons. We will take two persons. So for example, instance variables. For example, Raja will be there, Rani will be there. I am mentioning the names. String uh, Raja, string name. So string name, and the same one more person also. The person I would like to take Rani. Rani. So the first details, if I want to, like whenever I am creating, so I will explain through the paint. I will get the clarity. We'll be having two students. One student is Raja and another student is Rani. Another student is Rani. So these students are studying on one institute, and now the properties are should be like this, like student name and institute, 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 student name, institute, and ID. So these three you can assume. Okay, these three are the properties. These three are the properties. We have the two students, Raja and Rani. Now what I am doing, so inside the method, inside the class, this is some random class I am taking, demo class, the class is demo, and inside this class, you need to take the main method. Guys, please observe. And here main method PSVM, inside the main method I am initializing like this. These are the instance variables now. These are the instance variables. First one is the int id. I am mentioning like this, int id. And second one is the string name. Okay. Third one is the institute name, also name. So that's why I am taking the string institute, string institute, string institute. So what will happen internally? The JVM architecture already you know. This is the JVM architecture. So I will take this one so then I will get the clear. This is the JVM architecture. Whenever I create the object, so this object will be stored like this. This object will be stored like this. For example, in this case, if I create the object like this, if I create the object like this, new demo, and I am storing this one into the D. This variable object data type is the demo. Whenever I create the object, whenever I create the object, that object got stored, that object will be created inside like this. D. D. Are you guys clear with this point? Yes. This is the object creation. So here we have the two students. Two students. Right now I am creating, this is the object creation. So right now I am creating, instead of D, I am mentioning Raju. Raju. Instead of D, I am mentioning the Raju. So now I will create, what will happen? I will create inside the JVM, will be having one reference. This is the object. For this object name is Raju. Object name is the Raju. Object name is the Raju. And this Raju is holding the, I am saying for every object have its own copy of its own instance variables. This is the Raju. Now Raju, I want to store these details, Raju details. So how can I store these details? With the help of Raju. How can I mention? Raju dot id. Raju dot id equal to 301. Okay. Next thing is Raju dot name. Raju dot name. Raju dot name equal to Raju. This is the string now, Raju. Okay. Raju. Next, Raju Institute. Raju Institute. Raju Institute. Some such. These all the details, whatever the details we have written, all the details we can say copy of the instance variables. Every object have copy of the instance. Copy of the instance. If you observe the same right now, what I am doing, same object I am taking as a Rani. Demo Rani equal to new demo. New demo. In this case, you can observe. Now, Rani is also having the ID. That is the Rani ID. And Rani ID equal to 302. Next, Rani name. Rani name. Rani name equal to Rani. And Rani Institute. Rani Institute. Rani Institute equal to such. Then what will happen here internally is, whenever you create the Rani object, that object got created inside the heap memory. Inside the heap memory, where the object got stored, inside the heap memory only. Whenever you create the object, this Rani object will be created inside the heap memory. For example, this is the Rani, and now this is the Rani object. This is the Rani object. Inside the Rani object, our instance variables got stored. Instance variables got stored like ID, name. So in this point of view, in this case, in this scenario, you should remember every object. Raju is the one object, Rani is the one object, Rani is the one object, Raju is the one object. Every object maintain one. Every object maintain copy of the instance variables. Copy of the instance variables. Are you guys clear with this point? So at the time of basic level, we haven't discussed types of variables. Why? Because at the time we all are at basic. We all are. You guys are at the beginning level. If I tell the object like this, you guys what? So that's why that like what you will do. First you will drink the milk and then you will eat the dal and then you will eat the chicken after birthing. If you birth directly, you won't eat the chicken. First you will eat the milk and then dal and then chicken. In the same way, so till now we had done only just basics of variables. So in the types of variables, you should analyze internally. You should analyze internally. For example, you can I will tell one another example also. For example, one person unexpectedly died. One person, unfortunately, one person died. So after that, what will happen? That person, for that person died. So why the person is died? So which he has taken in. So like that, the doctors will find out the root cause. So in that case, the doctors will find out the root cause. In the same way, in our case also, we need to debug. We need to postmortem our code. Postmortem meaning we need to understand how the process is happening internally, how the processing is happening internally. So we are so how the doctors is doing the postmortem. The same thing we need to do the postmortem, the coding. Why? Because we are the developers. Developers meaning we are the engineers. We need to postmortem. We need to postmortem the code. We need to analyze what is the process happening internally. Are you guys clear with my point? Instance variable meaning every object will maintain instance copy of the every object will maintain copy of the instance variables. Copy of the instance variable. This is a very important point. Okay, this is clear. The same thing I am writing. I will write the program also. Int id, and the second thing is string name. Second one is the string institute. String institute. Now first I would like to create the object for Raju. When I create the Raju for the object, then JVM will allocate the memory for the object. Now I need to initialize. So here what I am saying, initialize is option. Now I am initializing. So Raju is having every object will maintain instance copy of the instance variables. Now Raju dot this name I am taking. Int A meaning ID. Int A equal to some ID I am taking, like 301. Okay. Now I need to call this one. Sysout Raju dot A. Are you guys clear with this one? So this way I had initialized. In the same way, I am initializing, remaining the Raju name also, like Raju dot name equal to some the name should be Raju. We are discussing about only Raju. Rani will come next step. Next steps Rani will come. Now we are discussing about the Raju. Okay. Next Raju institute. Raju dot institute. I am mentioning some such. Okay. I am mentioning such. If I want to access all these, so simply you can access with object name. If I am not initializing, then it will print the default values. So now here I am mentioning name, and here I am mentioning institute. Here I am mentioning the institute. This is clear what I am saying. If I run the file, then you will get the 301 Raju search. This is the instance variables. So this is for Raju. What about Rani? Only Raju is there. Then where is Rani? We need to create the object for the Rani. We need to create the object for the Rani. So how will you create the object for the Rani? First, you can create with the class name, and this is the object creation. This object creation we are stored in the uh, Rani. Now Rani has come into the movie. First Rani. Now we need to initialize the Rani ID. Rani dot ID. ID is 302. 302. 302. ID is not there actually. Rani A. Okay. Next thing is Rani dot name. Rani dot name equal to Rani dot name equal to. This is the string now. That's why we need to mention the Rani and semicolon, and same way Rani dot. Next thing is institute. Institute. Rani also same institute now. Rani also same institute. Such. So I have initialized. So in this scenario, you need to understand Rani is the object. Every object has its own copy of the instance variables. These are the instance variables. Rani 302. These are the instance variables. So in this case, you should remember every objects maintain copy of the instance variables. Copy of the instance variables. Now I would like to print those. So the same process. You can access with the directly like this Rani.a. I am accessing this one Rani.a, and remaining all are also same. This is out. I am copying this one, and I am printing this one. So here Rani dot name. So the suggestions will come, and here institute name. Institute name. If I save the file, if I run the file, then you can observe what you get. So these details are about Raju. These details are about Rani. So in this scenario, you should remember every object maintain copy of the instance variable. So copy of the instance variables. Now you guys clear? Now you guys clear? If I go my document, if I go my down, SQL. మీకు వస్తుందా స్క్రీన్ వస్తుందా ఇక్కడంతా నాకు లైవ్ వస్తుంది లైవ్ అవుట్ అవుతుంది ఇట్ ఈస్ రీలోడింగ్ నా వస్తుందా Right, 1 minute guys, we are looking for the live is coming up. Okay, okay, fine. So live is okay. Yeah, we are discussing about the instance variables, guys. So I will continue the same thing. Every object maintain copy of the instance variable. Every object, yeah, every object maintain copy of the instance variables. Copy of the instance variables. So if you create, the objects, hmm, hmm, if you create the object, JVM will allocate the memory for the instance variable. JVM will allocate the memory for the instance variable. If anyone asks the syntax for the instance variables, like you can say the instance variables are present inside the class and outside the method. So this is the method public static void main, and inside the strings you can take args, and here we need to, from here to here, this is the scope of main method, and here we need to take the instance variables. Okay, are you guys clear with my point? Okay, are you guys clear with my point? So next, this is clear about the instance variables. Should I explain one more time? If you clear, I will go for the next thing, is that is the static variables. Next one is the static variables. Static variables. So the first point is which variables are declared, which variables are which variables are declared inside the class, and outside the method with the static keyword. I will mention in static keyword. With the static keyword is called static keyword. Static keyword are called static variables. Okay, are called static variables. This is clear. Static variables meaning which variables are declared inside the class and outside the method with the static keyword. Are called static variables. Okay, are called static variables. And second point is static variables are called class level variables. That is the second point. Static variables are called class level variables. Why they are calling as a class variable? Meaning, basically, uh, in the Java, like JVM and statics are the very close friends actually. So like I will try to explain through the MS Paint. Normally, if you write the program in the JVM architecture, we have the class loader. What is the main purpose of the class loader? It will load .class files into the JVM. This is clear. I hope you already know this concept. It will load .class files into the JVM. Whenever you load the .class files into the JVM will check the first static words. It will check the static words. It will look for the static keyword. If any method or any variable have the static word, first it will assign the memory for the static words, static variables. Are you guys clear with my point? In the Java, JVM or static are the very close friends. Whenever the .class file are load into the JVM, first the JVM look for the static variables, static keyword. Where the static keyword is there, then it will immediately allocate the memory for the static variables. Are you guys clear with my point? Clear with my point? For example, in your home, like your two friends are will come to your home. One friend is your close friend. Some other friend also there, but that is not close. But that is also your friend. Two friends will visit your home. So how will you treat your friend, close friend? So we need to focus. First, we need to give the seat. You can sit here. I will give the juice like that. In the same Java also. So static JVM very close friend is the static. Whenever dot class files load into the JVM first look the static keywords. So where the static keywords is there, it will look the static keywords and it will allocate the memory. It will allocate immediately memory. But in case of instance variables, whenever you create the object at the time only, JVM will allocate the memory. Are you guys clear with my points? Clear with my points? The JVM will first look for the static words and then it will allocate the memory. So you should remember static variables are the class level variables. Static variables are called class variables. Static variables are the class variables. Class variables. We can access the static variables with the help of class name. We can access the static variables with class name. With class name. I will show you here with my example. This is the institute name. Okay. If I convert like as some name that is static, then you can say this is the static variable. Are you guys clear with my point? Clear? The same. Only the difference is if I declare with static, then you can say that is the static. But it will allocate the memory at the time of loading. Like we will be having the class loader. The main purpose of class loader, it will load dot class files into the JVM. Whenever dot class files are loaded into the JVM, it will look the static words, and this will be allocated. The JVM will allocate it immediately for this static variable. And for this one also, initialization is optional or mandatory? Initialization is optional. Okay. Yeah, for example, if I mention some institute name here, I will mention some institute name, like some other name I will give, like Oka. I am giving Oka. So I will remove these things. So the scenario is all about the instance variables. Now I want to access this one, static. So how can I access? We can access with the help of class name. For example, sysout, and the class name is the first dot institute. So if I print this one, now you can observe what will be the result. Oak is coming. Basically, we need to remember static variables are the class level variables. Static variables are basic program. Yeah, this is the program. So what I am mentioning, static, only the difference is I am mentioning with the static keyboard. Okay, I am mentioning with the static keyboard. Oak is the static. Whenever you see the static word, static meaning class level meaning the JVM immediately will allocate the memory for the static variables. We can access the static variables with the help of class name only. with the help of class name. Why? Because the JVM will allocate immediately memory for the static variables. So we need to call static variables with the help of class name. With the help of class name. Okay? With the help of class name. JVM will allocate the memory. JVM will allocate the memory at the time of class files load into the JVM. Load into the JVM. So JVM will allocate the memory at the time of dot class files load into the memory, load into the JVM. So the JVM immediately will look into the is there any static keywords are not there. So if any keywords will be there, then what the JVM will do? The JVM immediately it will allocate the memory for the JVM immediately allocate the memory for the static keywords. This is also very regular question, guys. Like in the any interview, if you attend any interview, they will ask compulsory what does it mean by variables, types of variables. Can you please tell me the difference between the instance variable and static variables and local variable? This is the regular question in search or anywhere. This is the types of variables is the very regular question, very common question. Okay. So here they will ask one more question also. When should I go for the instance variables and when should I go for the static variables? That is also very important question. When should I go for the instance variables and when should I go for the static variables? Now we can observe when should I go for the static variables and when should I go for the. So I will now if you see this program, this program, we have two persons, Raju and Rani. We have two persons, Raju and Rani. But Raju name is the different and Raju ID is also different. But they both are studying same institute now. They both are studying same institute. So if I write like this also, but if I write like this, what will happen? We need to allocate the memory. Every time we need to allocate the memory for this. For example, if I write like this also, if I write like this, what will happen internally? At the time of object creation, the JVM need to allocate every time memory for the institute also. For example, in this batch, we can assume we have the 62 students. So 60 students, if I write the string institute, but 60 students is having same institute. If I write like this, then what will happen? Memory, the JVM. So we are wasting our memory. So that is not a good thing now. That is not recommended. So that's why whatever the common thing we have, that common thing we are make it as a static. The common thing we are make it as a static. Meaning, in this case, the institute name is the common. Common for the Raju, common for the Rani, common for remaining all the 60% also. Very separate. No, only whenever you mention the static, then that is the common. That is the common. Hmm? Institute. So whenever you want to initialize, I would say this is the static. This is the common name. Then we need to initialize here only. Like here we need to mention. You can initialize with search. Then this name will reflect all the programs. Like whatever the common you have. So we need to initialize here. Whatever the common you have, whatever the like all the related, all the students common information we need to keep static. We need to keep the static. Clear with this point? Clear with this one? Clear? So basically, in the interview perspective, they will ask when should go for the instance variable, when should go for the static variables. Meaning, static variables meaning the common names like institute name. Okay, fine. So a common question is when will you go for the instance variable? When will you go for the static variables? Meaning, whenever the common content in that time you should go for the static variables, and whenever like the object has the own copy in that time you should go for the instance variables. If you can observe here, we have the two objects. One is the Raju, and second one is the Rani. So Raju have the different like properties like uh, Raju ID, Raju name. So these are the instance variables. Meaning this Raju having this Raju object have it will maintain copy of the instance variables. So those instance variables you can initialize like this. But whatever the common in this case, the Raju and Rani is having the both institute name. So such kind of both common names you can make it as the static. You can make it as the static. Are you guys clear with my point? So static objects, static variables are the class level variables. We can access class level variables with the help of class name. We can access class level variable with the help of class name only. Memory, JVM will allocate the memory at the time of dot class files load into the JVM. At the time of dot class files load into the JVM. Are you guys clear with my point? Only the difference is if you mention the static word, then we can say if I mention like this, and if I mention the static string institute name, institute, if I mention the institute name equal to some such, I am mentioning such. Okay, I am saving this. Okay, so this is all about the static variables, and the third one we have, that is the local variables. Local variables. So third one we will discuss about the local variables. Local variables. So the first point is which variables declares inside method or constructor or I would say block are called local variables. Are called local variables. Are called local variables. Are called local variables. And second point is local variables we can access inside the method only. Local variables we can access inside the method only. Inside the method only. Inside the method. For example, if I take so till now, like the whatever the programs we have written, so all the variables are what variables? So till now we did the programs on inside the main method only. We did the programs, whatever the program we did, all the programs till now, all are the local variable. All are the local variables. Why? Because this is the main method. Inside the main method we are initializing, and inside only we are doing the programs. Whatever the programs we did till now, all are comes under the local variables. All are comes under the local variables. Are you guys clear with my point? Clear? Whatever the programs we did till now, like from 16 classes we did the programs. All the programs we written inside the main method only. Inside the main method only. So those all are. This is the local variable. This is the local variable. So till now we did the programs like this only now. Local variable, and for example int y equal to, so for example if I mention the 30, and after that in what I am doing, int sum equal to x plus y, x plus y, x plus y, and I would like to print system dot out dot println, system dot out dot println. I am mentioning the sum. Then what you will get, you are getting the sum of two values, whatever the whatever the variables we have initialized inside the method, then you can say those are local variables. Those are local variables. Whatever the programs we did till now, all are the local variables only. All are the local variables only. That is the one point. And local variables are called temporary variables. Local variables are called temporary variables. Temporary variables. Why? Because are called temporary variables. Temporary variables. And fourth point, I would say, JVM will allocate the memory. JVM will allocate the memory. JVM will allocate the memory at the time of method's execution. At the time of method execution only. Method execution only. Are you guys clear with my point? So these are local variables or the temporary variables. Why? Because JVM will allocate the memory at the time of method's execution. At the time of method's execution. For example, the same thing what I am writing, what should I write here? For example, this is the M1 method, public void M1 method, this one, and inside this M1 method, what I am doing, so this logic I am copying this one and saving inside. Now what will happen? The JVM will allocate the memory for these variables, but after execution of these two, addition of this, the main purpose is doing the addition. Doing the addition is this main method purpose. So whenever like it will execution time, JVM will allocate the memory. After the execution completed, then the JVM automatically delete these local variables. That's why we are calling local variables are the temporary variables. Local variables are the temporary variables. Are you guys clear with my point? Local variables, I will explain one more time. Local variables basically the which variables declared inside the method constructor block are called local variables. Okay, that is the first point. Second point, local variables we can access inside the method only. Inside the method only you can access. Inside the method only you can access. For example, if you can observe here, this is the M1 method where I am accessing. Inside the method only we need to access. Inside the method only we need to access. Okay. Next thing is, third point what I am saying, local variables are the temporary variables. Why I am calling local variables are temporary variables? Meaning these variables, the JVM will allocate the memory at the time of method execution. JVM will allocate the memory at the time of method execution. So if the method execution completed, the JVM automatically it will delete the local variables. That's why I am saying local variables are the temporary variables. Local variables are the temporary variables. Local variables are the temporary variables. Whenever the method execution started, the JVM will allocate the memory for the local variables. Whenever the method got execution completed, then the JVM delete the local variables. That's why I am calling temporary variables. Local variables are temporary variables. So this is the same point I have written here. JVM will allocate the memory at the time of method execution only. The JVM will allocate the memory for local variables at the time of method execution only. At the time of method execution only. Are you guys clear with my point? Are you guys clear with my points? Can you please read these points? These are all the points. Can you read this all the points from starting to here? From here you can read. Shravani. First point. Second point. Third point. Third point. Fourth point. Fifth one. Sixth one. Last one. Any questions? This one. Any questions? Okay. Next, what about static variables? Can you please read all these points? Second point. Okay. Third point. Third point. And fourth point. Dart class files. Dart class files load into the JVM. Okay. So this one, any questions? Static variables. Okay. Next one, local variables. Can you guys please read this point? Okay. Second point. Okay. Third point. And last point. Okay, if the method execution completed, then JVM will delete the objects, local variables. Okay, JVM will delete the local variables. So these are very important. Okay, so I will share the entire assignments and this one. So please go through it and kindly explain everything once again. We didn't hear anything from 15 to 20 minutes. Okay, so some of them, I guess, some network issue. So I will explain one more time. So this one I will give you one more time the brief. Basically, basically instance variables meaning the variables are present inside the class and outside the method. And second point meaning inside these have the different names like instance variable, global variable, and non-static variable also. Global variable meaning you can access across all the methods inside the class. Okay. Second point is instance variables can be accessed all the methods available in the class. That's why we are calling the global variables. Okay, instance variables we can access can be access all the methods, can be access all the methods, can be access all the methods. And third point is instance variables. Initialization of instance variables are the optional. If you observe in this program, so here I am not initializing, so this is the optional. Initialization or not initialization, that is the optional. Based on our requirement, we need to assign the values. That is the optional. And fourth point is instance variables are called object variables. Instance variables are called object variables. Why? Because whenever we create the object at the time only, so here we have will be having two objects. Raj is the one person, Rani is the one person. Whenever you create the object at the time of creation of objects only, at the time of object creation, JVM will allocate the memory for the instance variables. JVM will allocate the memory for the instance variables. So I am mentioning instance variables. and this is also instance variables. Instance variables. Okay, instance variables. And if you not initialize the value, so in this case I am not initialize any value, then what will happen? If you cannot initialize the values, then it will be initialized the default value at the time of object creation, at the time of object creation. So like if you not initialize the value and you are trying to access the value, then it will bring the default value, then it will bring the default value. And last point is, every object will maintain the copy of the instance variable. So here I have shown one example. If you can observe here, demo is the class name. In this demo, it is holding three instance variables. Int ID, string name, string institute name. And if I create the object Raju, if you see here, so this is the heap memory. Basically, this is the heap memory. So where the object got stored in the heap memory only. So in the JVM architecture, I clearly explain about this is the heap memory. Inside the heap memory, objects will be stored. So Raju is the one object, Rani is the one object. In this case also, Raju is the one object, Rani is the one object. Every instance variables. So object will maintain copy of the instance variables. Raju and Rani, and these are the instance variables. Like Raju ID, Raju name, whatever you are mentioning the instance, whatever you are initializing like this, with the help of object you are initializing with the help of object, so that will be stored here. So you should remember, every object maintain copy of the instance variable. Okay. Next, this is the Rani. Whenever you create the object, so this is the Rani object. Rani object got created, and inside the Rani object, okay, inside the Rani object is having, it will maintain copy of the instance variable. These are the instance variables: ID, name, institute, ID, name, and institute, and ID, name, and institute. So I am initializing the value with the help of object. I am initializing. I am calling. In the same, similarly in case of Rani also. So that is all about the instance variables. And in case of static variables, static variables are declared inside the class and outside the method with the static keyword, basically with the static keyword only the different variables. Then what is the difference between the instance variable and static variables? Meaning static variables are called class level variables, and you can access the static variables with the class name. Whenever like dot class files load into the JVM will look for the static keyword, and it will immediately, where it will find any static keyword in the file, then what the JVM will do, the JVM will look at the memory for the static. Why? Because static and JVM, they both are friends. If you observe the main method also, the main method is also having the static meaning, so the JVM immediately it will look for the JVM. So that's why the execution is starting from the main method. First it will look for the static keyword, and where the static keyword is there, then the JVM, it will immediately allocate the memory for the static variables. So static meaning, whenever dot class files load into the JVM immediately it will look for the static variables. It will look for the static keyword. Where the static keyword is available, then what it will do, it will immediately allocate memory for the static variables. In the interview perspective, they will ask one more question also: when will go for instance variable, and when will you go for the static variable? Meaning, whenever the common content is there, then in the time you should go for static. For example, if you can observe here, Raju and Rani, these two guys are students. These two are studying in the same surgery, same institute, that is the surgery. If I write like this also, then what will happen? If you in our class, if the students have the 60 students, if I take the institute name also like as the instance variable, then what will happen? Memory will be wasted. So if the memory will be wasted, that is the not recommended way. That's why whatever the students, the common variable is the institute name. That's why we are declaring that institute name as the static. Declared name as the static. Remaining all are different. Raju have the different properties like Raju have this different unique ID. Raju have the different name, and Raju have the different height. So Raju have, so these are the different. Whatever the different the person is have, those are you can take as the instance variable. Whatever the persons have the same common like institute name, whatever the things the common have, those you can take as the static variable. And next third one is the local variable. Local variable which I would say basically local variables are declared inside the method, we can say constructor block are called local variables can access inside the method only. Like till now whatever the programs we done, all are local programs only, all are local. Like uh, we till now we did the conditional statement, looping statements, arrays, all are we did inside the main method only. Whatever the we did till now inside the main method, all are the local variables only. Okay, all are the local variables. So local variables are the temporary variables. Why we are calling the temporary variables meaning? Temporary variables meaning, so the JVM will allocate the memory at the time of method's execution. If the method's execution got completed, then the JVM automatically delete the local variables. That's why local variables are calling. That's why we are calling local variables are the temporary variables. Temporary variables. JVM will allocate the memory at the time. JVM will allocate the memory for the local variable at the time of method execution only. If the method execution got completed, then what the JVM will do? The JVM will delete the local variables.